I honestly don't even know where to start. Inter Milan 4, Barcelona 3. Probably the most epic game of football I've seen. I saw comparisons drawn to the Qatar World Cup final between Argentina and France. Personally, as a neutral in both games, I enjoyed this one more. I think it's one of the greatest footballing spectacles I've seen in my life. And I'm going to do my best to dissect what we've just witnessed, guys. Before we get into it, if you guys are a fan of La Liga, if you're a fan of European football, make sure you're subscribed. We're obviously going to be focusing on Barca Inter today, but we'll be back on Thursday for the other Spanish sides that are playing in the Europa League and the Conference League, respectively. I'm going to start with one takeaway, man, because I really don't know where to begin. Inzaghi. I want to start with Inzaghi because I want to put respect on Inter. This man has now reached 2 Champions League finals in 3 years with a team that does not have the annual investment of a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a PSG, or the big boys in the Prem. Surely now he's on the Mount Rushmore of current managers, no?
Yeah, I would say so. To be fair, I've thought highly of Inzaghi for quite some time. I also think that at the end of the day, bro, most football fans just don't, especially here in the States, maybe that's the case. A lot of fans just don't watch Serie A and they don't care to rate any manager coming out of that league. At the end of the day, most fans only ever tune into La Liga, same reason for either Real Madrid or Barcelona. Atletico, also factors in. But yeah, man, to answer your question, I think surely now he can be on that Mount Rushmore. I think he needs to win the final. And mainly because honestly, he should have beat Manchester City in the first final, I think, a few years ago. Granted, that City team
Should
was I
should
think
have.
so. I think they were the perfect counter to what Pep had built with that City team. I think they were perfectly set up for it. And it's so weird, bro, that you can kind of look at individual players and maybe say that was the difference, right? Rodri was still in that team. They were flying high, and granted, they still barely won at Rodri's goal, right? That's what got it done. You almost
Yeah.
wonder would they have won that game had Jan Sommer been in the back between the posts as opposed to Andre Onana. Not saying that made the difference at the end of the day, but you ask questions. I just think I want to see Inzaghi now, having moved past this fucking semifinal, greatest one I've probably seen in quite some time. Yeah, I think he definitely can be. I'm not going to stand in anybody's way who makes that argument, but I still think he needs to go and win the final, right? I've accomplished everything in Italy, do it on the biggest stage, and I think this version of Inter is poised to do it.
I think if he wins it all, it's not even a question.
Mm-hmm.
And he would go into third, flirting with second. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming everybody is Pep number one. I think that's fair. Many will have Ancelotti above.
Ooh,
I'll be
that's
honest,
crazy.
man. I'll be honest. If Inzaghi wins the Champions League, for me, he's better. For me, he's better. If he can do that, this is a guy that he's won trophies at multiple clubs. I rate that more than anything else because any manager can land in one environment, catch fire, they got a good team, they rack up a couple trophies. But if you go somewhere else and you still do it, winning trophies at Lazio and with Inter, and you get a Champions League, nah, dude. There's not a lot of managers you can just plug and play in this Inter side and they get all those trophies. And you might have thought that the question I was asking was a little obvious, but there were genuine rumblings that I was seeing from Inter fans. Like they were getting a little fed up with this guy. They're tired of
That's
AC Milan
wild.
beating them.
That's
It
wild,
is
bro.
insane to me.
It's and to cherry pick too. That argument is crazy because at the end of the day, like, bro, right? First off, to do it based off rivalries, I understand, right? Rivalries mean everything to the fans, but it's not the sole defining factor for a manager's tenure at the club. It's just not. At the end of the day, trophies are, and it's a result-oriented business. We've talked about that a lot on this show. And yeah, man, like I honestly came in here prepared to give not just Inzaghi, but I think specifically Jan Sommer all the flowers in the world because man, and we talked about it when we previewed the entire knockout bracket for this tournament. I don't think many fans wanted to give Inter the credit. I think everyone was like, dude, Barcelona's going to cruise to the final because they're on this side of the bracket, right? And Real Madrid, Atleti, Arsenal all being on the other side. It's going to be crazy. Whoever's on that side's probably just going to lift it at the end of the fucking day. I don't believe fans are still, even now, doing what they did. I think there's still going to be doubters, especially if they don't win. And that's why I say should versus could is an interesting debate, because if he doesn't win it, then they're going to say, oh, he could beat Barcelona, the most entertaining side in the world, but he couldn't do it against either Arsenal or PSG, depending on who wins. Does it really matter at the end of the day? And I hate that debate. Again,
That's a terrible argument, by the
yeah,
way.
these cherry picks, right? Where we want to pick one-off ties and use one-off games and use that as I don't know, the underpinning of a manager downfall. I just don't get it. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that with the takeaway there. Winning finals are hard, and should Inter lose the final now, you cannot discredit beating Bayern Munich, who I don't care what iteration of Bayern Munich it is, it's still impressive to knock them out of a Champions League. And then Barcelona, who I think were a top 2 side in Europe. And I think most people would say it was either them or PSG for the best. Everybody had Inter as either third or fourth, or if you were a true hater, you probably had them at like 6th or 7th in the club power rankings, right? Going into
crazy.
The quarterfinals even of the Champions League. Oh, there were definitely people who think there are 4 Premier League clubs better than Inter Milan right now.
There's no way.
Dude, I'm telling you, there are people who think Liverpool better. There are people who think Aston Villa are better. There are people who think Arsenal are better. Regardless, I digress. If he loses the final, I don't think you discredit getting to the final, right? I've said this about Pochettino many times. The man's career was built on the back of making 1 and losing. So if Inzaghi makes 2, again, without spending 300 M's every offseason, they're making free transfers because they got no money. That part is underrated. In a world where most managers buy their way out of problems, Inzaghi being forced to actually be creative and fix them frugally is a double XP bonus for me. I want to move on to a very interesting narrative that I'm going to plant into the footballing sphere right now. Szczesny versus Ter Stegen. Hear me out. Let me cook here. So everybody was pretty happy with Szczesny when he was signed to Barcelona. You guys did not want Iñaki Peña. There was no faith in Iñaki Peña. I understood that. While Ter Stegen was injured. Ter Stegen is healthy. And Szczesny is still the guy, right? And you would say he earned that. Because I would say when Szczesny arrived and immediately took over the gloves from Iñaki Peña, he was good. But I would say in the Champions League recently, outside of maybe one leg against Benfica, he's been a bit shaky. And I thought if you look at his performance versus Jan Sommer in these 2 legs, it is not even comparable. Now, I'm not saying Szczesny sucks, but I'm saying you saw the value of a truly beast mode goalkeeper. And Jan Sommer, bro, this man, I guarantee you he hates Szczesny. I guarantee you he hates Szczesny. I guarantee you he hates Alisson. I guarantee you he hates Courtois. Why? Yeah. Because those are the only goalkeepers that get flowers in this gen, right? Who's the best keeper of this gen? It's those 3. Maybe Emi Martinez for what he's done with Argentina gets thrown in as well, rightfully so. But Jan Sommer's been one of these guys. Honestly, he's kind of similar to Inzaghi, where he's just chefing it up in the background. And he never really gets his flowers. How many saves do you think he made in this tie? Both legs. How many saves do you think he made?
Across both legs?
Across both legs.
Bro, it's got to be north of 20.
No, not north of 20. 14, man. Though.
Okay, yeah. I mean, double digits for sure. Like, I mean, look, I said this, bro. You know what's crazy is I feel like I said something similar about Jan Sommer. Do you remember when Switzerland knocked out France of the 2021 Euros? It was in 2020 because
how could I forget
of COVID. So when that happened, right, and like he stopped, you know, the growing Kylian Mbappe legend, and you know, and the fact that he knocked one of the favorites out, and I felt like at the time they made it more about France not capitalize on opportunities versus the performance that we saw on an individual level from someone like Jan Sommer. And again, today, nothing against Inzaghi. I think he set up the team extremely well and the best he possibly could against a version of Barcelona this good. But at the same time, dude, Jan Sommer, had he not had the individual performance that he had specifically today, I think in the first leg he was good. I did not expect him to even match that performance. And bro, he exceeded it by a mile. He made 2 to 3 world-class saves. Like even in extra time, bro. The last one that he made on Lamine Yamal shot, I could not believe he saved that.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, bro. You got to remember, right? This is a team that I think a lot of the fan base was criticizing, a front office that a lot of the fan base was criticizing because they had just moved on from Andre Onana, and they supplanted him after selling him for what was it, like 50 million plus, almost 60 million,
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something ridiculous. When they did that, they just went out and spent 2 million on Jan Sommer, right? 2 or 3 million, whatever it was, to bring him in. He was an aging keeper. They were like, why are we choosing to be frugal when we have funds now to go out and like really reinforce the position? That's why you do it, because the man is class, man, through and through. And so I'm not gonna take any away from Inzaghi, but like there's so much credit that has to be given to Jan Sommer through and through.
Yeah.
And go back to what you said about Szczesny really quickly, bro.
You know how many saves he had?
Oh man, next to none. I mean, but to be fair,
3.
yeah, Inter's finishes were fantastic. And I will say, like, I don't know if Ter Stegen would have saved them. That's the big thing, right? Is like if these were like
He's only got to save one, bro.
Maybe
He's only got to save one.
That's true. That's true of Szczesny as well. And I've watched Marc-Andre Ter Stegen for years now. Fumbled even just the most straightforward saves. Like, I don't know. Part of me, when we signed Szczesny, was okay. Great. At least now, like, if our keeper's gonna fuck up in the back, like, it's almost warranted. Like, he was literally retired, and we brought him back. Like, okay, cool. We're probably gonna get more of what we've already gotten, and it's house money. But I think he's actually exceeded everyone's expectations by a mile. And to be honest, has probably put in similar, if not better, performances all the way around, including this tie, than Ter Stegen would have.
I'll be very clear. I'm not saying that Ter Stegen is better than Szczesny or vice versa. I don't really care as a neutral fan. But what I'm highlighting is you don't win a Champions League without a good goalkeeper. Not even good. A great goalkeeper. Look at PSG and Donnarumma on the flip side. They are in the semifinals because of Donnarumma. So at some point, you can have amazing tactics. Your manager sets you up great. You got Lamine Yamal and Rafinha up top. If the goalkeeper isn't bailing you guys out, you're probably not going to win the Champions League. That's how close these games are. And I think for me, if I'm highlighting an MVP of both legs, it's Jan Sommer. I don't know if you would nominate somebody else, but for me, I think he's the one individual with the most responsibility for Inter progressing to the final.
Yeah, the only second place guy would probably be someone like Denzel Dumfries, who I think had an insane tie all the way around. Yes. I think in the second half of the second leg, his legs started to go a little bit, like everybody's did. Like, dude, you could just tell at this point of the season, playing 120 minutes against elite, world-class level talent, the legs are just gone. Right. So you don't see quite as much quality. And so I think, the spotlight is a little bit more on the saves being made. But like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think he is the MVP. And if we want to point to examples for anybody who's disagreeing mentally with what Jack is saying right now, bro, look at every Champions League Real Madrid's ever won. Do they win those without Courtois playing the way that he plays? I don't think so. Like, I just don't. Like, he's probably kept them in so many finals, so many knockout rounds in general, that 100%. They could probably credit, I don't know how many titles they have to Courtois alone.
Yeah, 100%. Does Argentina win those Copa Americas in the World Cup without Emi? No. You need an amazing goalkeeper. It's so rare for a team with a bad or average goalkeeper to win it all. They can make the quarters, they can make the knockouts, but they don't win it all. And I think this is where you see a guy, Jan Sommer, who's criminally underrated, shine brightest. As a Barca fan, I want to ask you, what exactly went wrong for you guys? Because you scored 6. That's pretty good. 6 on Inter and 2 legs. That's pretty damn good. I had you guys winning because I thought there would be goals, and I thought goals would equal Barca winning. But you concede 7 to Inter Milan. What the hell happened?
I think, in all honesty, I wouldn't even say like what's wrong. I think it's easy to kind of like maybe try to pick apart Barca's back line and say like, hey, Flick got the tactics wrong or the lineup wrong. I do think that part of me going into this was I need to see Christensen play because I think he actually ended the first leg decently well. That didn't really happen. I didn't want to see Gerard Martin again, but then he actually had a decent game. So, like, a completely different story there. And with that play specifically, I wouldn't say he got cooked. I would say he made a decent, like, cutting the line off and getting at least a touch on the ball to stop the counter. He got overzealous. You didn't need to do anything after that. Drop in, even if Dumfries gets the ball back, drop in and just prevent the cross. Right. And if you prevent the cross right there, it's the best decision. It goes out. And like, we're not talking about extra time. We would have recorded this an hour plus ago and a different team in the final. So
it would be called Barcelona comeback.
Exactly. The remontada would have been fully in. And so, I think personally, it's a situation where legs were gone. The first half did not go well. Dani Olmo rescued his game a little bit with that goal, but the first half was terrible from him.
Yeah.
Leva could have made a massive difference had he been healthy just up top. I think Ferran was invisible in this game. And I guess what Inter does, we talked about this a lot coming into the game itself, was that back line is extremely physical. They're not going to give you anything for free. So you need someone who's not just clinical, but is going to be able to muscle them off of certain chances and opportunities. And Ferran really did none of that. So we had to really find a way to break them down from outside the box. And I think we found moments to do that. But look where the goals came from, man. Eric Garcia, Dani Olmo, like, this is the exact type of setup that Hansi Flick doesn't want to play against. And if you think about it, we only had one lead across the entire tie, right? And so that's the same reason I was nervous about this tie going into the damn thing, right? Is that I always had Inter kind of somewhere ahead of. If I'm driving on the highway, there are a few exits down as we're going through this Champions League, and I'm watching and I'm waiting, knowing that monster looms in the distance. And when we got here, I mean, every bit of how this tie played out confirmed that. So I think it's less about what went wrong for Barca. I think, in all honesty, man, I've been critical of my boys when they lose all throughout the season. Anybody can fact check that throughout this show. But it's hard for me to be super critical with this game, man. It was an amazing tie. One of the best Champions League games I'll ever see. It's a shame it didn't go our way, but I think it's more about what Inter did right. This is probably the first team that has clinically stood up to Barcelona, found a formula to take them down. Atleti was very, very close at several times throughout the season with a very similar approach. Inter just got it over the line. And Atleti did too, but I think at crucial moments of the season, it kind of fell apart. Inter found a way to kind of take that approach and apply just monster mentality to it. And they got the job done. So I tip my hat to them, man. And honestly, like, based on who's left, I hope they go on to win the final.
It's so funny because we were contemplating, like, well, we have the Copa del Rey final, and if Barcelona lose that, then like they're going to be low on confidence, so they better go out there and beat Real Madrid. Meanwhile, on the flip side, AC Milan spank Inter 4-1 to go to the final, and I couldn't tell. They didn't look like they just lost 4-1 to a kind of sorry team in 10th place in Serie A right now. I didn't see that at all, and this was kind of my counter argument to everybody saying that was like, dude, they're not going to let a domestic cup tournament affect how they're going to play in the Champions League final. For me, the biggest surprise is Barca conceding 7. I could have seen 4, 5. I would have been like, damn, Inter were really good. 6, I've been like, what am I watching? 7 is truly unbelievable. Not because I think Inter are bad, but I just didn't think Barcelona. Yeah, Balde was out. Yeah, Lua wasn't there, but Ferran's filled in well all season. I didn't think it was going to lead to 7. And you kind of got to think back to the first leg, like we talked about. If you guys don't concede 2 set-piece goals in that game, I mean, what if?
Yeah.
Great. What could have been? I have no idea.
And we cleaned that up in the second leg, right? Like all goals were like legitimate. They came through the open run of play. And again, man, the high line is always a risk. Always a risk. I've learned to just accept that, right? Like, we're going to play this way. We're going to probably win more games 4-3 than we're going to win like 1-0 at the end of the day. But again, with Flick, I think what he has in this team and what he's done this season, nothing short of impressive. Like, I don't think anybody can look at this and laugh at Barcelona. I'm sure Madrid fans will, but we'll see how things go this Sunday. At the end of the day, man, I don't even think Barca's going to look at this and feel like, damn, missed opportunity. We gave it everything, and the better team won today. And there's still a strong opportunity to lift another trophy this season. The season does not stop. And if we look back at the season when it's all said and done, and that was the one missed opportunity, was Inter got one over on us in one of the greatest Champions League ties of all time. Man,
Right.
in extra time of all of it at the San Siro, like again, you said it as a neutral, it was one of the most enjoyable things you've ever seen. I don't think you can hang your head down. Like, I just don't think you can. I think you get ready and you're even more encouraged for next season, right? With all of these amazing young players who are going to have this experience living rent free in the back of their minds as they pursue greatness again next season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think there's any shame to draw a basketball metaphor. If you lose in Game 7 in an epic fashion, like the Cavs beating the Warriors, Kyrie Irving hitting a buzzer beater, dude, at some point you got to be like, hey man, that was pretty sick, right? That was a great shot. Like at some point you got to be like, Inter, bro, we lost 6-7. Like what? Right? It's not like we got bulldozed. It's not like we got embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like they played out of their skin, and they deserve to go through. And you can't win them all. And I think the solace for Barca fans will be, this is Flick season 1. This is season 1 of Flickball. Inzaghi, he's got time in the bank. He's had years with these guys, most of the team. I mean,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I think it's almost arguably could argue it's positive that all these young guys have to taste defeat like this in Barca.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, right? You say that like it's solace to Barca fans. I'll tell you right now, the timeline's probably on fire. You know, so many Barca fans probably choosing to be critical because it's just rage bait is the new meta when it comes to like content and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm not biting on any of that shit. I'm super proud of this team. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sad. Am I sad? Yeah, bro, I'm fucking sad. I would have loved to be playing for a treble at the end of this month. Like that to me, we haven't been in that position in a decade. Like I would love that, but at the same time, progression from last season. We weren't here last year. Basically the same team minus Dani Olmo. And it just shows you the difference in the manager and the tactics. And more importantly, the mentality coming into this season, to everything we've achieved so far. And so for all of those reasons, I don't think any Barca fan can look at this as like, well, there goes our season, right? There's nothing left to play for. You know, we were hoping for it. It's treble or bust. That narrative is terrible, bro. Terrible. Imagine, right? Imagine being so entitled for honestly for no reason, because if this was post the Pep Guardiola era, I would understand to an extent. I'd have more empathy. It's like, okay, cool. We've seen nothing but greatness from Barca over the last recent 5+ years, 6 years, whatever. That's not been the case, bro. We have not been in this position in like 6-7 years in a European semifinal. And so to be here now and to be this close to touching it, bro, I'm motivated as shit for next year. And at the same time, this is what this competition is, man. You go up against the very best. And so this should have been the final, in my opinion. I will stand on that. I'll stand on business with that take. This should have been the final. I don't think either Arsenal or PSG will give Inter the same type of game. They might. PSG has the best chance to do it. If it's Arsenal versus Inter, and this is coming from an Arsenal fan, it's not going to be a sexy game, bro. I'm not even like super excited to watch that final. It's going to be just kind of ugly, physical. I don't know how that's going to go. I can just for the sake of being a neutral, I hope PSG make it, I guess, to an extent, for that sake of it all. But if Arsenal make it, man, I mean, some of me will be happy, but it's not going to be the prettiest final in the world. So this Inter versus Barca, in my mind, was the final that we lost.
I'll disagree there. I think the final should have been Barcelona versus PSG, right? If this is March Madness in my world, PSG had been the 1 seed in the tournament. Barca were the 2 seed. Inter were the 3 seed. And honestly, Arsenal, probably like the 7 seed. So if you're talking about dark horse Cinderella runs and the Champions League this season, I really think it is Arsenal, especially with the injuries that you guys have. So
yeah, that's fair. That's a fair shout.
But I mean, if we get Arsenal winning tomorrow versus Inter, that's pretty crazy. And then Arteta versus Inzaghi, what's at stake there between those guys? I mean, honestly, between everybody, it's huge. Luis Enrique needs a Champions League as well.
Yeah. Wait, he has one. He has one.
I mean, with PSG though, nobody's been able to do that.
Yeah.
If you get that done, you're the GOAT. You're the GOAT. Nobody's been able to do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Post Mbappe,
Post
immediately post
Mbappe,
Mbappe.
that's the most impressive part of it. I mean, I don't know. Yes, if PSG do it, it will be super, super impressive. Do not get me wrong. I just, for whatever reason, don't think they're. I don't know, man. I just don't think
Well, it's not
mentality-wise they stack
Leicester
up.
2016, right? Like, I'm not
Yeah,
saying it's
yeah, yeah,
Leicester
yeah,
winning
yeah.
the Prem, but
I'm not
like,
knocking PSG. I just don't know if they're I don't know. I have reservations about this team in a number of ways, mainly because they haven't put it together for an entire season. Whether it's, hey, they were shit in the early stage like they were this season and gotten better as the season's progressed, or vice versa. But I feel like Inter just has like they have won the experience, right? They've been in this exact position before. And I think if they get either, they're going to get one of these two teams that doesn't really have the recent experience of being in a final. PSG were there in 2020 when the team looked massively different and they were in the middle of COVID. So this is a completely different scenario. And I feel like getting over the Barca hump just gives them a strong mental edge. And at the end of the day, what are they, 1 point behind in Serie A? What's the difference there in the title race?
probably 1 point, yeah,
Something like
below
that.
Napoli right now.
Yeah, yeah. So they're going to go head to head with Conte and try and take that. But I still think Inzaghi is just constantly has this massive, massive final on his mind. And we saw whatever happens in the league is not going to impact how he sets up for that. And I think for that reason, if I'm betting on someone in a one-off game or a one-off tie at this stage, let's pretend that Barca hadn't been eliminated yet. With all of the managers in play, you have to put your money on Inzaghi.
I'm gonna switch over to some Ballon d'Or talk. I'm gonna say something. You tell me if you disagree. Rafinha is no longer the front runner after these games. I think it's got to be Lamine Yamal and probably even Pedri above him.
I think it's been that way for a little bit. I would say he's no longer the clear winner. If I'm like being particular on choosing the words,
Okay.
like the right now, what he has going for him is just consistency with his stat line across the entire season. And he did back a goal today, and that was great. It could have been the winner. Had it been the winner, then we're probably still saying Rafinha is the favorite for the trophy. Pedri he has been just amazing all season long. I personally feel like in certain phases of the game, no one on Barcelona touches Pedri. But again, right? I mean, no one. I mean, you point to what Lamine Yamal did in the first leg against Inter. I mean, like, holy shit. I mean, the kid is just unreal. And
Even today, dude, he
oh
was.
yeah,
I know
he
he
was
did
insane. They're double and triple marking him, and
insane.
he's still breaking away into space. He had a shot that hit post. He's finding opportunity after opportunity, despite the attention he's getting on the field. Like I totally get where everybody's coming from. It's just sometimes I wish fans would see how Lamine gets into those opportunities. So for me, it's like Pedri has to win this at some point in his career. I think so. I think he's the most gifted center midfielder in the world. I don't think there's anyone that could do what Pedri does. And I think if you take each player out of the lineup in isolation, where do you feel the pain the most? Right? I don't like if you were to replace Lamine Yamal with literally anybody, bro. Throw Rafa on the right side, put Ferran on the left, or put Fermin out there, doesn't matter. You feel it a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Like you definitely miss like that 1v1 take on ability and driving toward the line, creating opportunities. But when you don't have Pedri in there, the whole team just feels dysfunctional.
For me, it's the impact that these guys have. I was actually annoyed when Rafinha scored because I was like, oh, great. Now everybody's going to think he's like the unanimous runaway Ballon d'Or. Like his greatest argument is similar to why some people have Lewandowski top 5, which is asinine to me, is numbers.
Yeah.
They say, well, look at the goals, look at the assists. Outside of the goal today, which was a rebound even, I don't really think he did anything. I don't think Rafinha was good at all against Inter. I would give him a 4.5 out of 10 across these two legs. Was he the worst player out there? No. But when you're going up against Lamine Yamal, who tore Inter up in the first leg, to your point, they put 3 guys on him in the second leg. He still has a post shot and forces the save of the Champions League from Jan Sommer. At some point, you gotta watch the games, right? And you can't just go off of the stat sheet and what FotMob tells you. Lamine Yamal is unplayable. Rafinha can't even beat a Cherby one-on-one out wide. I mean, it's that guy's probably top 3 most underrated players in the world right now. But there's no impact from Rafinha. When Barca turned it on in the second half, that's because Pedri kind of turned it on too. He wasn't great in the first half.
Yeah.
So once he gets going, the whole team gets going. Rafinha was just kind of there. He was kind of a bystander. And similar to Mo Salah, bro, you got to get penalized for that. You don't show up in a final, you got to get penalized for that. I'm not saying he drops to 20th in the ranking. I'm not even saying a Barca player has to win it anymore, because we've been saying the whole season, this race is so tight. Whoever wins the Champions League is probably going to win. Right now, literally for just right now, for the next 24 hours until PSG have to play Arsenal, it's probably Ousmane Dembele number one. But if Arsenal win, Dembele's out. And then, bro, I'm not even kidding. Mo Salah could go up to number one again because he's got the insane stats in the Prem.
No. I don't buy that shit.
No, it can't be Rafinha.
No, I agree.
It cannot be Rafinha.
It shouldn't be either of them. Like, if we're being honest, like, again, and this is where I say, like, man, recency bias is so fucking undefeated. But like,
well, it should be Dembele if they win. I think if PSG win the Champions League, you have to give it to him.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. To me, they have to win everything, and Dembele has to score in the second leg of the semifinal and in the final. Like, and the reason I say that is because at the end of the day, man, like, when you think about the entire, and that's what I hate sometimes what the Ballon d'Or has become, is it's become a storyline driven competition with simply just the biggest competitions that we look at, that we isolate outside of what that player did for the entire season. And again, we look at Rafinha, I agree with you. The numbers across the entire season look great. That's the only saving grace he has. But when you watch every one of these semifinalists in the Champions League play throughout the course of their entire season, I don't think anybody anywhere in the world has been able to do what either Lamine Yamal or Pedri have done. Of course, I'm biased. I'm a Barca fan, but I don't think either one of them is balling. And I will say this too: if you flip it, if you had given PSG Inter and you had given Barca Arsenal, I just think we're having a completely different discussion right now. And I think that the clamps that Inter will put on PSG, if they are the ones to get to the final, will be very, very interesting to watch, to see how that narrative may or may not shift.
Well, what's going to be interesting is we're assuming a lot right now, but if PSG play Inter, well, PSG don't have the injuries as of time of recording, knock on wood, that Barcelona do. So there is going to be a little bit of a different dynamic there. And if you don't think that Desiree Doué or Kvaratskhelia is capable of cooking DeMarco, I got something to sell you. Like, that's going to be a problem in that matchup. Is Denzel Dumfries going to do well against Dembele and Kvara and Barcola? And that front three just shifts all over the place for PSG. It's going to be incredible. But this is the reason that I even say this is because the Ballon d'Or is such fine margins. Now, just because I don't think Rafinha is number one anymore doesn't mean with El Clasico, which we're doing a live stream for that, so hit subscribe for that, kicking off on Sunday. He gets a brace in that. Lamine Yamal doesn't play particularly well. Maybe Pedri only plays 45, picks up a sore ankle. Dude, he could go right back up to the top. That is how close this is. But after today, if I'm doing a live updated ranking, I cannot have him above Pedri and Lamine. So at most, if you're a Barca simp and you want to say Barca's got the top three guys in the Ballon d'Or, Rafinha's 3 for me right now. He's below his counterparts.
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's because we're at the crucial parts of the season where I know I just mentioned, like, hey, the whole story around the season should be taken into account, and it should. But at the same time, the definitive factor, if you will, is does the Ballon d'Or winner, whoever you're nominating for that prestigious trophy, stepping up when it matters the most? And Rafa has some moments. I would say more in like El Clásicos than anything else, versus like what we've done in latter stages of some of these competitions. But yeah, man, I mean, there's no argument on my side. Everyone will scream from the mountaintops they should be Lamine Yamal. And look, as a Barca fan, I will not argue that. I'm here saying Pedri's doing shit that nobody in the world is doing, and we need to start paying attention to that.
Closing thoughts?
I'm proud, man. Sad but proud. And it's like a very weird combination. Like, I don't think many fans can even go through that. I think in this day and age, like I said, everyone's so damn negative because they feel like Barca should have just won it. They were on the easier side of the bracket, this and that. It just goes to show you why this competition is the best on the planet. In my opinion, nothing compares to it. And I'm even more motivated for next season. Proud of the boys. I think Flick, there's only so much he could do with some of the injuries that we had. I think he did the best that he could. And at the end of the day, man, we can't No one can write off the rest of the season. We've got a massive El Clasico on Sunday, and now I got to shift all of my attention to that. Can't stick around and be sad for too long because we got to go out there and win La Liga.
Dude, Barcelona have huge games left. Real Madrid, if I'm not mistaken, Villarreal, and Athletic Club to round out the season. Like, yeah, maybe y'all lost the battle, but you got a whole other war going on left stage. We got to go over there and take care of it, because if Real Madrid win the Clásico this weekend, I mean, then it's just, I mean, for me, that'll be sick because it'll be nonstop drama until the end of the league. But I mean, there's still so much to play for. This might feel like a massive L, but I really don't think it is. Now, it will be if Real Madrid win the league, but again, you're just going to have to hit subscribe. We can't tell the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Obviously, I predicted Barcelona to win this. Guys, we hope you enjoyed this recap. We will be back, hopefully, as a more full squad on Thursday for the Athletic Club and Real Betis instant match takeaways versus Fiorentina and Manchester United. I'm going to assume that those games aren't going to be as epic as what we saw today, but I could be wrong. Maybe Athletic Club win 5-1, and they're in the final. That would be sick.
Bro,
and guys,
happens,
like,
Jesus.
I mean, I feel bad for PSG and Arsenal because I just can't see how tomorrow could be that epic. I don't think it's possible.
It's going to be a boring semifinal second leg at the end of the day.
It's going to be a 1-0. Yeah.
We now need Athletic Club to save La Liga.
Dude, Real Betis is going to be the only one to lift a trophy, a consolation trophy, a European trophy. It's insane. This was my greatest fear at the beginning of the season. And then, of course, El Clasico this weekend, which we'll be live for. So plenty of content here dropping on Lengua de La Liga. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any of that. We appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you are following Jose and myself on social media. We'll see you guys in the next one.